Hi, Miss Conley.
Good evening, Mr. Grasser. How are you?
You know what? I am wonderful. I am wonderful. We were just talking off screen, and I just arrived from the Unicity plant literally like an hour ago. I got home an hour ago. I flipped open my laptop. I'm here. Dr. Tiffany's on a plane. So for those of you looking for Dr. Tiffany, she's on a plane. She did think that she would be able to join us from her car at the airport. It was going to be that sort of thing. So um, I had asked Miss Conley here to be my guest testimonial tonight because she's got an amazing story. But then, literally, I think as I was hitting go live, I said, "Hey, you want to co-host with me?" And she said, "Sure."
So here I am.
Nobody better to do that with. Except for Dr. Tiff. I don't know. Well, but it is what. Here we are. How are you, Miss Conley?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I missed the trip, but I'll be at the next one.
Yeah. I just spent the last 5 days ish in Las Vegas, Nevada. For those of you that don't know, the Unicity manufacturing plant is in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I was there at the headquarters at the facility. I go there a couple, 3 times a year, and Kristen does as well. And it's an amazing experience. It's really cool to see the leadership there and see what they're doing, what they have on the agenda for the future. Spent a great deal of time around Stuart Hughes, who owns the company, and listened to his vision. And it's just absolutely it's invigorating. This is very, very special. This is a movement. And for those of you that are just now joining us, welcome to this live stream. This is generally Jim and Dr. Tiff. Dr. Tiff was in Las Vegas with me, and the flight schedules, it just is what it is. And I believe she might be touched down right now, but she was going to try and join the live stream from the parking lot of the airport. It was that kind of thing.
That's commitment.
That is commitment. That is absolute commitment. So Kristen was going to be my guest. And I just asked her if she would help co-host this. But let me just tell you a little bit. If you've joined this live stream, let me just kind of tell you what this is. We talk a lot about the field rate system here. If you are metabolically dysfunctional, and that may be type 2 diabetes, like I had, that may be a weight problem. Maybe you're having a hard time with that stubborn belly fat, right? Or maybe you've got non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or kidneys problems, or high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all sorts of things. Maybe you got one of these. These are all just part of that metabolic dysfunction. And we come on this live stream and we talk about that every single week, Dr. Tiff and I. Now, my personal story is I reversed type 2 diabetes. I had it real bad. I had a 12.2% A1C. I now have a completely unmedicated 5.1% A1C, and I've been unmedicated since February 14th of 2023. So, Kristen, it's hard to believe. I'm coming up on 3 years now.
It's amazing.
It is. And I wear a continuous glucose monitor, so I'm able to see my blood glucose at any given moment during the day. And right now I'm sitting at 100. And this is, by the way, I just mentioned I was in Sin City. And I don't really drink anymore. I don't do all that stuff. I don't gamble or anything like that. But sin can also be the food. Like, oh my gosh, it's such good food. I try to be good, but I mean, it's hard not to eat amazing food when you're in Las Vegas, Nevada, Las Wages, Nevada. And so I'm very proud of that. And what we do is we come on this live stream every week and we talk about it. And so if you have been invited to hear, hi, Madeline Schwartz. He is on Instagram. If you've been invited to hear, that means that somebody thinks that the message that we're giving in this will be beneficial to you. So stick around and listen to it. It's only an hour long. It's fun. I promise it'll be fun. Kristen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Miss Co-host for the night?
So being thrown into it, I am just going to kind of wing it for the night. But my name is Kristen Conley. I actually have been on the Feel Great system now since August of 2023. And I actually did a live stream with Jim and Dr. Tiff probably a year and a half ago, maybe. And that testimony at that time was pretty amazing. And now I have a full testimony because when I first gave that testimony of what the system had done for me, it actually was kind of like I was halfway through. But now I can sit here and say to you, I have reversed my type 2 diabetes. I am off of 4 diabetic medications along with the Ozempic shot. I came off of blood pressure and cholesterol meds along with meloxicam, which is for chronic pain. I don't take any of that anymore. Um, and so, I was halfway through my journey the last time and ended up having to battle breast cancer in the midst of all of that. And ironically, because I was on the system, it allowed me to have my surgeries without condition, without issues, because my A1C was in check. And it also actually improved my healing because most people know that when you're a type 2 or when you're a diabetic, you heal very slowly. And so the doctors were thinking that my healing was going to take longer. So my radiation was going to be pushed back. I ended up having to have 2 surgeries because they did find more cancer in the margins after the first surgery. But they kept thinking they were going to have to push it out. But because of the system, and I will say that every single time, plus I had incorporated the collagen that we have, which is the Oasis, I believe it sped up my healing process, which was absolutely amazing. And so the doctors were thrilled with the fact that I healed so quickly and so well, considering I was a type 2 at the time, because technically my status of reversing hadn't happened until probably October.
I love that. And as you were speaking,
woohoo, look who's here.
Dr. Tiff.
Talk about dedication, girl.
Yeah, that is something, right? That is what you can call it, right?
Well, hi, Dr. Tiff. So I had already kind of introduced, I talked about, that you and I were both in Las Vegas. This last 5 days or so at the plant. And we were going through introductions, and on a whim, I thought, you know what, Kristen, you're here, you want to co-host, because I didn't know if you were going to be here, but here you are.
I'd go get my bag then.
Oh, you can't go. You're here now. You're here. But I don't know, do you have the capability to do your slideshow? Or are we just kind of just talking about this?
I think it might be safe to say we're going to just talk because I might be able to pull up on my phone, but I didn't get time to practice it.
No, I kind of like the idea of this being a little bit more just loose conversation. I think we've never really done that before, and why not?
Right.
Right?
Okay.
And so we just heard Kristen, kind of your testimonial, Kristen, but I want to dig into that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, since Dr. Tiff just joined, let's get Dr. Tiff's introduction here. But Kristen, I want to go ahead and you're up. Let's just go ahead and leave this up. The three of us here, the panel thing. And I want to kind of dig into your testimonial a little bit because there's a part of your testimonial that you know as well as anybody I love. The fact that you were not sending me Christmas cards. No. And I love that part of it, right? Because it's real. It's very raw. It's very real.
Mm-hmm.
It shows the skepticism. So I want to kind of peel back the layers of that onion here in a little bit.
Okay.
If we could. But Dr. Tiffany, where'd you go? Where did you go?
I'm back.
Why don't you tell our audience about you, Dr. Tiffany?
Okay. I mean, this is really funny. I almost feel like I'm on the news studio, like I'm on set. Now it's snowing over here in South Carolina. Okay. But anyway, hello. I'm actually a real physician, not just a crazy person who jumped off the airplane, but board certified in family and lifestyle medicine, practiced for 20 years in private practice, urgent care, and then the last few years in telemedicine, trying to take care of 48 states. So that became a lot. People were too sick. I figured I wanted a better life for myself. Got board certified in lifestyle medicine. It's about going after the root causes of conditions and started getting on social media, started getting on some news channels, started just talking about ways so we can reverse these conditions, like literally reverse them. Ran into a mutual friend, and the stories, My life just changed forever since. And I started using the products myself, got off my blood pressure medicine, helped my brother with his type 2 diabetes, got him off of insulin, Trulicity, metformin. Stopped having to do my antidepressants as much, and I am enjoying my season in the winter much better than I used to. I'm trying to think what else. You see, this how you tell I'm caught off guard. That's why I feel like, well, who is this? I'm living this life, and I'm just enjoying it.
We kind of, as I said to Kristen a moment ago, we started peeling back the layers of that onion last week with your seasonal depression and my seasonal depression, and I've seen the same thing, an improvement there. And I'm not going to say that I don't get into a funk; it happens, but I have found that I get out of that funk so much faster now.
Oh yeah.
Really is it's pretty amazing. So, well, okay, so boy, we're just winging it here, Doctor. Um, I guess without your slideshow, how do we want to have you describe this? Should we just do a Q&A? What if I interview you style?
Oh sure, why not? Try something different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Unless you want to just take the mic and run with it, you can do that
You know
too.
I can, but we can do interview style.
I
So
think
go ahead. Huh?
I like the idea of you doing that. You know what? Why don't you just tell us about insulin resistance? Let's kind of stop tiptoeing around it. Why don't you tell us about insulin resistance? And I kind of talked on when we opened the live stream, I was talking about metabolic dysfunction. What is
Hmm.
metabolic dysfunction? What is insulin resistance? What is all this?
Right, right, right. I mean, it sounds like a big word, but the reality is it just covers so many problems. We talked about even the depression, the blood pressure, the sugar, the cholesterol. Everybody thinks diabetes. The insulin resistance is the end stage of diabetes. No, diabetes is the end stage of insulin resistance. So 10 to 15 years, you are having all these other problems before anybody says you have anything to do with insulin resistance, because truthfully, we don't really check for it. We don't check for insulin. We check for sugars. And so if you are following the traditional American diet to where you're eating 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates, that pyramid that actually took us out of here, that's what it's doing systematically. And, you're having snacks every couple of hours, you're constantly giving yourself glucose. Well, your pancreas releases insulin to get that glucose into the cells to use it for energy. Without the insulin, that glucose can't get into the cells. That's why you have your type 1 diabetics who can't get the energy into their cells. They need the insulin, so they have to inject it. We need that insulin to open a channel for that sugar to go in and our body to use it. Well, if you're constantly wearing out your poor pancreas, which is what you do when you eat every couple hours, and when you're eating a lot of servings of carbohydrates, your cells start to block it. Your cells actually start to decrease those receptors so insulin can't bind there. And now you're having cells that aren't listening to insulin. And then, of course, you start to wear out your pancreas too, which is a whole nother issue. But before we get to the part to where you've worn out your pancreas, so you have a lot of insulin and glucose in the bloodstream, you just have insulin because your insulin is trying to increase. Your pancreas is trying to release all this insulin to force that glucose into the cells when you're eating so much. So the glucose gets into the cells. It gets into the fat cells around our midsection. It gets into the liver. It gets into the muscle cells. So it gets crammed in there, right? In your bloodstream, there's no sugar there. It's just insulin. And so that's the stage before you get to diabetes or prediabetes. And that's when doctors like myself aren't usually checking insulin. But when insulin is high, it causes problems with blood pressure. It makes your kidneys hold on to sodium. Now your blood volume goes up. It makes your blood vessels get thicker in the inside. Now your blood has to be pushed harder, increasing blood pressure. Then it messes with the ovaries. Now you have cysts on the ovaries, and the women can't have children. They have irregular cycles. They have hair growth in places they aren't supposed to have it. And because we mess with the blood flow, then we start messing with the men's problems. We start having the ED issues. We start having the man boobs because now they're having low testosterone and an estrogen-like product that's making the man boobs. So many other issues. And then because chronic inflammation comes with insulin resistance, they like hand in hand. Now we're messing with our gut too. We're messing with our immune system. And we need our gut to be working at its top levels. Because when it's not, that's dysbiosis, a nice little fancy term, having the wrong type of stuff in our gut. Bottom line. And so when that happens, it starts to eat the lining. Now we have stuff leaking out that's not supposed to leak out. There's stool in our gut. There's toxins in our gut. We don't want that stuff floating around. And we don't want our nutrients floating around in the wrong places because we want them, right? And our poor body doesn't know who to attack thanks to the inflammation. Now it's attacking the gunk coming out of your gut and it's attacking you. And that's how we get these autoimmune conditions. So all these things fall under this umbrella, or they're either linked directly to or indirectly to insulin resistance. And so when we start tackling that, we can actually tackle the whole issue that's taking us out of here, metabolic health, poor metabolic health.
So I've been doing, and I don't describe it near as well as you do, but I've been doing a lot of videos, a lot of live streams as well. And I stumbled across something that I think really just paints an amazing picture, right? Because what I have found is people, well, I don't have insulin resistance because I don't have diabetes. And I'm like, what? You missed the point. Like, it's not just diabetes, right? It's a whole plethora of things. And so to illustrate that, Dr. Bickman, and by the way, if you guys are unfamiliar, let me go through this thing really quick. Let's go share the screen. Oh, dang it. I'm going to talk my way through this, okay? There we go. Let's go share. Okay, if we go to Google and just ask Google Dr. Bickman, Dr. Ben Bickman, and go to the AI, it says Dr. Bickman is a scientist, professor, and author focused on metabolic health with an emphasis on insulin resistance. And then really who he is, this is his profile on Brigham Young University's website. So BYU is a university. It's one of the largest universities in Utah, if it's not the largest. I'm not quite sure if they're bigger than the University of Utah or not, but they're big, right? Now, at the University of at BYU, they have this laboratory. It's called the Laboratory of Obesity and Metabolism, and that's what I want to talk about right here. Is the Laboratory of Obesity and Metabolism. At that laboratory, they literally grow fat cells all day long, and then they study the disease that accompanies those fat cells. Now, Dr. Bickman is in charge of that laboratory. He is a fat scientist, but he's not a fat scientist. He's a fat scientist, right? He studies the fat cell. And he did a video a while back that really just painted this amazing picture for me. Like everything, he does such a good job of breaking things down for a simpleton, right? He talked about putting a fat cell in a petri dish. He says, I can put that fat cell in there, and I can give it all the calories in the world. All the calories in the world. And what, of course, do we as society, what do we think happens if you give all the calories in the world? You get fat, right? Well, guess what Dr. Bickman said will not happen. It is biologically impossible for that fat cell to grow by just giving it calories. You have to give it something else.
Yep.
Insulin. As soon as he introduces insulin, the fat cell grows. And then the other side of that is when he removes the insulin, it shrinks. Just like that. And so, Dr. Tiff, I heard you say energy. You said the cells need that glucose. They need that energy. And that's what glucose is. It's energy. It's the energy for the cells. That's their fuel source, right?
Yeah.
So really what insulin does is it places energy, right? It stores energy. And if it can't put it there, it'll put it over here into a fat cell for later use. It's a storage shed. It's like it's the alternative fuel tank. It's you know what? We'll put that over there. And I just said alternative fuel tank, right? Because that's what it really is. I like to talk about this. Let me ask, we got a pretty good audience right now. I want to ask a little question to our audience. There's this guy. First off, have any of you heard of Angus Barberi? Anybody in the audience? Just a yes or no. Anybody heard of Angus Barberi? And probably not. He's not probably the most popular guy in the world, right? So Angus Barberi was this man. He weighed 456 pounds. He was a Scottish man. And he thought, hey, you know what I think I want to do? I think I eat too much. I think I'm eating too frequently. I think I want to just stop eating for a little while. And he went to his doctor, and his doctor was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I think that doesn't seem like it's not in any of the books. You shouldn't do that. And he kind of said, well, I'm going to do it anyway because I think I'm doing it. And so what I want you to do, doctor, is please monitor my vitals. Check my blood glucose, check my blood pressure, and basically supervise this. I'm going to do this fast. I would like you to medically supervise it. And Angus Barberi went on to set a world record for the longest medically supervised fast.
Hmm.
And I'm curious, we got a silent audience right now, but I think that's the Facebook thing. What are the guesses for the length of that fast? How long do you think Angus Barberi went on a medically supervised fast? No food. He did drink water. The doctor team, I should emphasize, they insisted on obviously water or water-based products. Water, coffee, sparkling water, tea. They did insist on some yeast extract and some vitamins and minerals, but no food. And he went on to set a world record for that. And the world record, so he started this thing June 14th of 1965.
Mm-hmm.
Alfredo saying 365 days. So Angus Barberi started this fast on June 14th of 1965, and he broke it on June 30th of 1966. 382 days.
Wow.
Now, he went from 456 pounds down to 180. Dr. Tiffany, would you explain why he didn't die?
Oh.
What did he do? What happened there? What was his body using for fuel?
Obviously, okay. In the beginning, he was using stored glucose. In the beginning, his body was tapping into, because the reality is if he's at 400 pounds, he's got some stored glucose in those fat cells. That's what's been making those fat cells bigger. So, yeah, he's been tapping into that. That's what he started burning first. And those glycogen stores. That's what the stored glucose is, glycogen. In the liver, in the fat cells. And then what happens is when you start to break down fat, you get ketosis. So at some point, he started tapping into ketosis. That usually happens it depends on all your fat stores, how easy you are to transition. But we usually do think that should be kicking in around 16, 17 hours for most people. So yes, he was in ketosis a lot of that time. And our body does like ketosis. We just aren't used to being ketones. Our body does like ketones. We just aren't used to having it because we're so busy having glucose all the time. That takes over. But your brain functions very well. I mean, how many of us wake up first thing in the morning and we haven't been eating all night and we feel the most clear? We feel the most clear because we're on those ketones. Those ketones, our brain is all happy with those. So clearly we can function on that. And I think that's what people are afraid of when they're like, I can't fast. If I don't have glucose, I don't have energy at all. That's not true. Our bodies are brilliant enough to figure out another path. And that path was already there.
So he just started metabolically, it was metabolically flexible. He had been using glucose, and then his body said, well, there's no more of that. Let's go over and start burning fat.
Had to make the switch.
And so that's metabolic flexibility.
Yep.
And that's the problem right now is none of us are metabolically flexible, right? That's the problem, right? We're not as a society, we are not metabolically flexible. We're like stuck in glucose mode.
A lot of times, yes. I mean, the global nutrient database is 3/4 carbohydrates. So if that's the majority of food you're eating, it's going to keep us in carb energy. It's going to keep us in glucose energy.
That's a statement right there, right? That's a bold statement. That we're stuck. So what he did, as I mentioned earlier with Dr. Bickman and his petri dish, you put all the calories in the world, the fat cell will not grow until he introduces insulin. Then it grows. And then he removes insulin, it shrinks. Well, when Angus quit eating, body wasn't producing all that glucose, the insulin levels dropped. The insulin, it's like pulling the insulin away. And that kind of forced the body to start shrinking the fat cells. So really the insulin, it helps regulate glucose, but it kind of tells the body also, one of its other jobs then would be, it tells the body which fuel source to use.
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, insulin has a huge role. We focus on just with the whole glucose storage or fat storage, but yeah.
So it's just impressive, and I like going down that avenue because, I want to just be clear. I'm certainly not, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Tiff and Kristen, you're not going to go out and say, I think we need to all fast for 382 days. That's not
absolutely not.
That's not the message. But understanding what Angus Barberry did, all of a sudden skipping breakfast seems like a pretty achievable goal.
Right. Right.
Right?
Mhm.
Like, okay, I can skip breakfast. I'm good with that. I can probably make it through breakfast. Okay.
Right. Right. Right.
And so I guess I am going to go a little interview style, Dr. Tiff. When we skip breakfast, what does that do to us? What is that actually doing to us then?
Well, it's allowing us to lengthen the time that we are fasting. Because, like I was saying, unless you wake up in the middle of the night and snack, you're fasting while you're sleeping. Even though there is a condition where people do wake up in the middle of the night and eat. But for the most part, most of us are sleeping. So if your last meal is at 8 o'clock and your first meal is at 8 o'clock in the morning, that's already 12 hours. So if you actually skip breakfast and don't have your first meal until 1, that's 17 hours of fasting. And now you're knocking down that window of autophagy where our body starts to heal itself. And that's where we want to actually step into and transition into.
So we can start just healing by putting the spoon down, putting the fork down, pushing the plate away. Just allow our body to reset itself a little bit.
That's what the science says. That's not Dr. Tiffany saying that. That's science. Somebody got a Nobel Prize for that. Okay.
Yeah, a Nobel Prize was given on that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so with that being said, all of a sudden, the first step of this protocol is done. That's what we do. We intermittent fast. We skip breakfast. And none of us are saying go for 382 days or even 24 hours, right?
Nope.
Skip
Nope.
breakfast.
Yep.
Now, I don't know which one of you two ladies is going to, I'm going to put one of the two of you on the spot.
I say Kristen. Kristen.
With Dr. Mindy Pels and Fast Like a Girl, what does that really mean? The idea that the eating schedule and your cycles, and how the eating schedule could change. And if I don't go down that path because I'm not a chick, but
Well,
either of you very
I know the science. I know the science behind that. So, but I don't know, Kristen, is that something you had to practice or that you realize, okay, look, these days I can't fast and miss a whole meal or miss 2 meals. Did you notice that for yourself?
So I have to be honest, I don't have a cycle. I haven't had a cycle since 2020.
Mhm.
So me moving into this in 2023, it wasn't necessarily an issue that I had to address.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it
Okay.
wasn't, I
Okay.
mean, I've read about it, but to say I've retained much of it, I can't
Mhm.
say that because it doesn't apply to me, which I probably should be a little well versed in it, but I need to do a little more research on that, I guess.
So the week before our menstrual cycles, we start having more progesterone. Progesterone wants us to, it's like it wants us to get ready to get pregnant. So we want to eat more. And so most of us in that week before we menstruate, we're hungrier. That's when we get those carb cravings, those chocolate cravings, those sugar cravings. That's not lack of willpower. Those are actually your hormones doing that. So that's not the best time to try to do the long fasting. And Mindy goes into even more detail on when your estrogen is high, how you're more focused, and then you can do more longer fasting. But this week before the menstrual cycles, that's not the long fasting time. So what I tell my ladies is I tell them to do 3 meals a day at that period. And if you are going to do some carbs, definitely do your whole grain carbs if you're going to do them. Don't go crazy on them. But if you're going to do them, definitely do the low glycemic index ones, the whole carbs, whole grain ones. This isn't the time to go crazy on the chocolate or everything else because it's you're craving it. But if you feed it with something whole grain, it'll calm that down without you messing up your whole goals. But at the same time, you aren't miserable that week or two. Some women have it 2 weeks to ready for that way.
pretty confident someone will have 4 weeks, but
Oh, no, no, no,
you know,
no, no. So when our estrogen is high, like right after the menstrual cycle, oh my gosh, you can fast like a gangbuster then you can do your 24, your 36-hour fast, and you're doing without any problems, and you're not struggling at all. And once we understand our bodies and work with our bodies, then it doesn't become this is so hard I can't do it. It becomes I just need to do it this way.
okay. So for anybody that's interested in a book that maybe explores that a little bit more, and I really do recommend women go check that out. Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz, Pelz. Fast Like a Girl. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and type that in here. I can do that.
And her
Pelz.
last book was about menopausal women, age like a girl that she's still pre-selling, if I'm not mistaken,
I
and
just put this.
fasting after that. Hmm.
Okay. So Dr. Mindy Pell's Fast Like a Girl. Check out that book if you're just interested in going down that path. Now, let's talk about these products. Kristen or Dr. Tiff, which one of you guys wants to talk about Unimate or Balance?
I can talk about the Unimate and the Balance if you want. And so
take it away.
Do we want to talk about the benefits? Is that what we're talking about, or how to use the product?
I think we're making this up as we go.
Okay.
I think we should talk about the benefits and then talk about how to use it afterwards.
Okay. So as far as the Unimate, that is a yerba mate concentrate. You're never going to find a better yerba mate concentrate than you are in this little packet right here. And it actually is rich in antioxidants and nutrients. It will help to enhance your mood, your energy, and your mental focus. On top of that, it will help to protect you against infection. It will enhance physical performance. It will lower your blood sugar levels. It will decrease your midsection, decrease your inflammation, reduce your risk of heart disease, curb your sugar cravings, quiet the food noise. When you drink it on an empty stomach, which is in a fasted state, it will increase the natural production of your GLP-1 by 70%, and it will increase your ketone production by 60%. And so a lot of people don't realize that, drinking this right here, Jim just, I think, made another one. But if you're drinking it and you are sipping on it, it helps to extend your fasting time out. I know people will say, I just struggle. I can't push my way through. Well, that's going to help you push your way through. And so I actually sip on one first thing in the morning up until about lunchtime. And then I make another one with lunchtime and I sip on another one all afternoon. And so then dinner time comes and I will say that I will front load my food, my biggest meal of the day, with fiber. I don't think that many people realize that we are very depleted in fiber. And fiber is what helps keep us fuller longer. So if you are depleted in fiber, you're probably looking to graze through the day because you're probably not being filled enough. You're not having that full feeling. So you're constantly looking for more. If you're someone that tends to eat a higher carbohydrate meal, you're going to increase your hunger, not necessarily fill your hunger. And so that's why, you go to the restaurant and they put a basket of bread in front of you. You think they're being nice and offering you something free? No, it's a marketing ploy just to get you to eat more. And so as I was saying, I get back to the fiber. And so we have another perfect little packet that offers you a good amount of fiber, soluble and insoluble fiber. You mix it in about 6 to 8 ounces of water. You drink it down quick. It gets thick like a gel. And what happens is when you take it in, it gets thick in your belly. It expands in your stomach, giving you that full feeling. It slows down the absorption of carbs and sugars. It helps to lower your blood sugar levels by 40%. It helps to lower your blood cholesterol levels. It also offers good colon health. Like, the benefits are far reaching, and it's the perfect nutraceutical power pack you didn't know you needed. This company has absolutely cornered the market on the best metabolically health improvement product that there is. And so, I'm sure that people that are watching have seen different posts on Facebook or Instagram, and you've wondered what it is. Well, this is what it is. It's coming away from these things here and getting away from the pharmaceuticals that we continue to be prescribed, which, number one, they turn into a subscription instead of a prescription because you end up having to take them for life. And number two, they are not getting to the root cause. Dr. Tiff talked about insulin resistance. That's the root cause of all of the things that we are struggling with. And all these pills do is suppress the symptoms. And so if you're someone that actually wants to get to the root cause of it, if you actually want to reverse all of the diagnoses. Listen, I have a list, all right, perfect timing, Jim. This list right here. I have so many people that will say, oh, I have almost everything on that list. You don't have to have that. You don't have to be struggling. Listen, you are on this hamster wheel that is just keeping you spinning out of control. Get yourself over here on a path that has light at the end of the tunnel. When we tell you that we are talking about the opportunity to be free in your health, that's exactly what we mean. Now, are we ever going to tell you? I'm certainly never going to tell you to come off your meds. Walk it out with your doctor. But here's a little secret. It's in the physician's digital reference. That's where they go to figure out what they're going to prescribe you. And so they have full access to be able to get this information. They have full access to figure out whether it's something that could help you. They just don't make this from it. So you don't hear them talk about it.
Okay, so I wanted to actually, you just brought up that point, and it made
I know, I went a little too far, sorry.
Oh, no, I love it. I love it. Okay, so this is the prescriber's digital reference, right? And it's part of the physician's desk reference suite of goods. Oh, goodness. Excuse me. So the PDR, this is where like Dr. Tiffany or your nurse practitioners or your pharmacist, this is where they would go to look up information about commonly prescribed pharmaceuticals, things like Ozempic and metformin and that sort of stuff, right? If you wanted to go here, let me just come over here. And if you wanted to scroll down a little bit, you could type in your medication, Lipitor, right? So this is Lipitor. That's also called atorvastatin calcium. It's the number one prescribed statin medication in the United States right now. Maybe a lot of you are on atorvastatin calcium. You can go to Lipitor, and then you can come down and see the drug summary, and then scroll down and look at like the classes. What is it? Okay, how to administer it, and then what are the adverse reactions? There's some stuff that maybe a lot of you didn't know, right? Renal failure, pancreatitis, right? Lupus-like syndrome, stroke, and then moderate. I always like to point that out. Diabetes mellitus. Diabetes. That's an interesting connection right there with this. And then obviously, I bet most people would say that they feel some sort of memory impairment or confusion or amnesia, something like that, maybe some bouts of depression. These are all hyperglycemia. Are you struggling to control your blood glucose and you're on this medication? Well, that might be a lot of the reason why. And it's not just Lipitor. In fact, you could go to Crestor. I like to talk about Crestor. We could go there. That is rosuvastatin calcium. That's the number 2 prescribed statin medication in the United States. Again, go down to drug summary, and you can go down to the classes, and then you can see the administration and the adverse reactions again. And it's funny, it's a lot of the same ones: renal failure, pancreatitis, okay, and then diabetes mellitus again. It keeps showing up. Now, this study right here, let's see. This study right here, oops. Yeah, can you see that screen, Kristen? Yeah. This study right here is assessing the link between statins and insulin intolerance. It's a systematic review. And this study, what they do is they go and they look at kind of a lot of research that looks at whether or not statins cause insulin resistance. Remember this thing right here, insulin, do statins cause that root problem? And so this study right here looks at, they assessing the link between statins and insulin intolerance, and they looked at nearly 47 million people. This systematic review provides evidence that the use of statins may have an adverse effect on insulin sensitivity and increased insulin resistance. Now, the reason I like to bring this up is our product that Kristen was just talking about. I got Dr. Tiff back. I see you now, Dr. Tiff. This product right here, balance. Let's talk about balance. So Kristen was talking about balance, and I don't know if you can see in that little window of mine, my holding up my balance. It used to be sold. Let me see if I can find it here. in a packet like this. And that looks a lot like this. These are nearly identical. BIOS Life and Balance. It's the same product, okay? The exact same product. It's just marketed differently in the United States because they found that it balanced blood glucose. And all of a sudden, hey, that's a catchy thing. Let's change the name here. Elsewhere in the world, it's called BIOS Life. I should point out, this is a great opportunity to point out, it's available in 60-some countries. Now, Balance is a blend of 7 different plant-based fibers plus a multivitamin. And the multivitamin really helps our bodies absorb it. Maybe Dr. Tiff, maybe you've got a better way to describe this, but vitamins and minerals help our bodies absorb nutrients and make them. We're more efficient when we got those vitamins. Do you know where I'm kind of going with that, Dr. Tiff?
Yes, a lot of those vitamins are needed to create things, building blocks. We need a lot of those vitamins to build our cells or to allow us to use energy or help with bone growth. So there's different things each thing does, actually.
So this is a multivitamin. It's got 1,040% of your B12, 90% of your B9, 410% of your B6. It's a full multivitamin. And this blend of fiber and multivitamin was actually studied at the Cleveland Clinic. This right here is published research in 2002. This is what they call a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial. It was peer-reviewed, it was published, and it's been cited 20 times. This study right here looked specifically at Balance, BIOS Life, this product. And what they found, and if you wanted to read it, this is the full research. You could go to unicityscience.org. By the way, that last page, I should say, this page right here is a government website. This is nih.gov. This is a .gov address. This is not a CNN. This is not a commercial, a Fox News. This is an official website of the U.S. government, okay? But if you wanted to read that study in full, you could easily go to unicityscience.org. And here is that study in full. You will see from the preventative cardiology section of the Cleveland Clinic. Dr. Tiff, would you kind of elaborate on what exactly is the significance behind the Cleveland Clinic?
Yeah, the Cleveland Clinic is one of the notable institutions for heart disease studies. And so usually when you say that Cleveland Clinic, most of us as physicians, I may need to listen to this. And so, yeah, that's why that's important. In fact, in some, it's number one, and then, sometimes you do your search, you see number two. Point is, it's at the top, right? It's at the top.
They are one of when they say, hey, Dr. Tiffany, you should listen to this research, Dr. Tiffany says, okay, you're reputable, I will, right?
Right.
So as we scroll through this research, I like to point out this LDL response, and I'm just going to lean into your background more, Dr. Tiff. It's LDL that everybody's afraid of. That is the bad cholesterol. People are, I don't know that everybody understands what is the good cholesterol, what is the bad cholesterol, right? But it's the LDL that is oftentimes referred to as the bad. I'm saying this a little bit loosely because I don't know that it always is the bad cholesterol, right? But Dr. Tiff, would you kind of elaborate on what LDL is?
So those are your low density lipoproteins, and to characterize them all as bad cholesterol is inappropriate. And that's some of the things we try to teach, but it's the small dense particles. Those are the ones that actually get into the blood vessel lining and increase our risk for heart disease and stroke. And so when we say LDL calculated, which is what this LDL-C is referring to, it's referring to the total number. And unfortunately, since you opened the door for this, the statins don't even deal with those small, dense particles that get into your blood vessel linings and actually increase your risk for heart disease and stroke. They deal with the buoyant particles that literally just bounce off the walls like a beach ball. And to tell you the truth, that doesn't bother us at all. It doesn't help us. So you end up taking the medicine and it doesn't really treat what we need to treat. But I know I went left, so I'm bringing it back to you, Jim.
No, I love that. I love that you went there because I was kind of hoping that you would. I was giving you a soft toss. I was hoping you would go there, and thank you for taking it. I don't know when I can. I have to walk kind of a thin line here because Dr. Tiffany, she puts out information here that goes against the grain, right? And there are people that certainly are aiming for her, and so I don't want to steer her into a trap, a bear trap, right? And so I was kind of setting that up, and I was hoping you would run with it. So I appreciate that. You said the small dense particles versus the large buoyant ones, the large fluffy ones.
Mhm.
The large fluffy ones are actually good, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And the LDLC doesn't calculate whether it's the large buoyant ones or the small hard ones, right? It just calculates total
Right.
LDL.
Right.
Am I right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And that's why we have some studies that actually suggest higher LDL in the elderly is a sign for a prolonged life, not a shortened one.
Mhm.
There are
Mhm.
research studies now that show that if you have a higher LDL after 65, you could actually live longer because of
Mhm.
it. And now I hear Dr. Bickman use the term with LDL or with cholesterol in general. Cholesterol is a molecule of life,
Yeah.
right? It's a transport system, right? Would you kind
Well,
of
yeah, but we need it in the building of our hormones too. We need it in the building of even some of our proteins. We need cholesterol a lot more than we realize we do. That's why you want for your babies to have their fat. The healthy fats are huge in that growing time, that period. So cholesterol is not an evil thing. It is not. But that LDLA, that small dense particle, that's the problematic one. Great thing is if you divide your triglycerides by your HDL, the good cholesterol, you get an idea if you have more of those LDL small dense particles.
Okay. And so that number right there, we want, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, I think it's like 1.8 or below is when we're starting to get closer to a healthy way of life, right?
1.5 I've seen, but yeah, I'm good with 1.7 because that's close. But
Okay.
yeah, but anything over 2 and 2.5, we need to be dealing with that, regardless if those numbers in the normal range. Because you can have a normal looking triglyceride and a normal looking HDL, but that ratio not be normal.
Now, with that in mind, this study did show from the Cleveland Clinic that BioSlife, uh, by the time of the interim visit, which was 4 weeks after randomization, the treatment group demonstrated significantly lower LDL-C than the placebo group, and that trend continued through the next 4 weeks to the end of the blinded phase. So what this showed was that there actually was a significant reduction in LDL-C. And I think I want to try and connect these dots now, Dr. Tiff, and I need to lean into you a little bit to help with this, right? As you become more metabolically functional, as you become more metabolically flexible, it becomes natural that your body has less of those small hard particles and more of the larger buoyant ones, correct?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so what this study is kind of showing is that we're controlling the cholesterol, but because we're also becoming more metabolically flexible, this is actually a very good thing.
Mhm.
It's a very good thing. Okay, so they would actually go on to suggest, and this is a powerful line, such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs.
Mhm.
Lipid-lowering prescription drugs are statins, are they not, Dr. Tiff?
Mhm. I mean, there's other ones, but that's the main one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's certainly the ones that they're talking about here, right?
That's the main class. Well, no, because there's a group of them, but the one that actually does something are the statins.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this is huge.
Mhm.
This study's huge.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is done by the top heart hospital in the United States, and it looked at these products and said, "Hey, here is a solution." And this was 23 years ago. Now, I'm going to use that. Let me get off of my little pedestal. I really appreciate you guys letting me kind of run with that and just kind of babble. Um, and Dr. Tiff, I actually enjoyed the interview style. Okay, Kristen,
Yes.
how did that apply to Randy Conley, your husband?
Ah, so Randy actually had a quadruple bypass in 2020. He had 5 blockages, um, 2 at 75, 2 at 90, 1 at 100. But they were able to get away with a quadruple bypass. And so we left the hospital kind of entering into the pandemic phase. So there was no cardiac rehab. There were no regular visits to the doctor or the cardiologist. There weren't even normal checks on his blood pressure or anything. And so fast forward to 2023, and some of the weight had come back on. There were, he was on a ton of meds, and we started the system. And a few months after, he went for a routine checkup with his cardiologist, and she had ordered his blood work beforehand. So when he walked into the office, she said to him, "So, what exactly have you been doing?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" Because he wasn't really sure her take on it. She's like, "Your blood work does not look like you're a cardiac patient anymore." And so she took him off of his blood pressure meds. He was on, I think, 2 or 3 cholesterol meds, acid reflux meds, told him that he should, for peace of mind for her, take a baby aspirin a day and continue the system. And so, and that was direct from his cardiologist, from a man who had he had a widowmaker heart attack. He shouldn't be here. He had the quadruple bypass. He recovered in the midst of a pandemic, which he didn't get the normal care that most people would. So that was a direct result of the system.
He shared that picture with me, and I don't believe he would have a problem with my sharing that picture. But before I do, the one of him in the hospital bed.
That's fine.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, because he's let me put it on TikTok.
Okay.
So it's there for people to see.
Okay. So I don't know if you've even seen this before, Dr. Tiff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me see. Oh, dang it. Hold on. I did this wrong. I'm going to ask you guys to fill in for a second because I've got to move that picture over to my Google Photos. To my Google Photos.
Lord, I got kicked off.
Are you good?
We can see you.
We can see you. Can you hear us? I don't think so.
All right, Miss Conley, you got the wheel for a moment.
Okay, so for those of you that have been watching, I'm curious, and I know that there are some social media platforms that you can make comments or you can ask questions, or I only have access to be able to look right now at Facebook. But I'm curious how many of you, whoa, look at that. You found it quick.
I did.
Yep. So that is my husband the day after his quadruple bypass, and I could sit here and cry. It is a miracle.
Okay. How do we get these products, Kristen?
So whoever it is that invited you to this call tonight, whether it is on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever social media platform, make sure you reach out to them. They all have a link that allows you to be able to find more information, do your research. Listen, we're not trying to sell you something blind. You can go ahead, do all the research you want just through the link. You can absolutely find testimonies. I know. You can find testimonies of people that have changed, whose lives have been improved. Listen, we're not just talking about type 2. We're just not just talking about cardiac. We're talking about people that have reversed neuropathy and gout, people that have come off of depression and anxiety meds, people that have reversed stage 4 kidney disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, people that have reversed PCOS, ED. The list is endless. It doesn't just, when you think about your health, you always think about the thing that you're struggling with in that moment, the thing that is the hardest thing for you to push your way through. These right here will help you push through. And it doesn't matter what it is, because realistically, we are all, I hate to say it this way, but we've all been in a place where we have absolutely abused our bodies. And we think we're doing the right thing. We think that we are following the right rules, but ultimately we are overloading our body with glucose, and we are causing ourselves to have all of these issues, all of these health issues that we don't have to deal with. So getting back to the initial question, whoever it is that invited you to this call tonight, get with them, ask them questions, ask them for the link. You will not be disappointed. And on top of that, you have a 90-day money back guarantee. This company believes so wholeheartedly in this system, in this product. Listen, you go to Weight Watchers, you go to whatever else, Jenny Craig, you go to whatever it is, whatever, even Herbalife. Nobody's offering you money back because they just want to take your money and make you think that you're getting healthy. Weight loss is just a small piece of the pie. Stop focusing on the scale and letting it have too much authority in your life, too much authority in your health. It's a small piece. So allow yourself to become metabolically healthy. You're going to notice you're going to improve your energy. You're going to improve your mental focus. Your inflammation is going to go down. Your clothes are going to fit differently. Don't get on the scale. It is going to overwhelm you because you don't see a big number coming off. But ultimately, what's happening inside is you are becoming metabolically healthy, and weight loss just happens to be a side effect.
Well, you can't tell Kristen Conley that this system doesn't work.
Oh, no.
Saved Randy's life, saved your life. You can't tell. It has changed. And what I love about that story, and Dr. Tiff, I don't know if you know this part of this. What I love about that story, it was Randy that found me on TikTok. It was not Kristen.
Yeah.
Kristen, when Randy went to her and said, "Yeah, I found this guy on TikTok and he's talking about this stuff," Kristen, I can just envision her just looking over the top of her glasses at him like,
Nope.
"You think some random barbecue dude on TikTok has the answer? Really?"
Apparently so.
And he said, "Watch for a little while." And that's when she started watching. And you know what? There's nothing to lose. But what I love about this story is Kristen was the biggest pessimist, right? The non-believer, the biggest skeptic that this is not going to work. And it's changed the quality of the Conley household, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Where did she go? She got to quit doing that to me. I was getting ready to turn your camera off and bring Dr. Tiffany's camera in. We got some groundbreaking news. But I want Dr. Tiff to be here. So get with the person who brought you here. They will tell you how to order, have the conversation with them. They'll tell you how to order the products. This company accepts HSA, the health savings accounts, FSA, the flex spending accounts. They accept credit cards. They work with Klarna. They work with PayPal. I mean, they make it extremely easy to try and get the products, and there's nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Give it 90 days. Go into it with a mindset of, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you know what? Maybe even a mindset, Kristen, some of my best success stories are like you saying, you know what? I went into this with, I'm going to get my money back.
Oh, yeah.
And then instead of, I'm getting my money back, it's like, yeah, that's the best thing I ever did. And it becomes the best money. But go into it maybe with the mindset of, I'm going to prove them wrong. This thing, there's no way it could work. Do it. I double dare you. Okay. Well, while I'm waiting for Dr. Tiff to come back, because I do want to bring her back, we have some information to share here between Dr. Tiff and I and the audience. Kristen, final words. What would you say to somebody who is on the fence? We've got the Kristen Conley in the audience right now who's saying there's no way this is real. I guess just kind of your final words, your parting words on this. What would you say to that person?
So I think I would just say, I was the skeptic. I understand how you feel. And watch some videos. As the algorithm works, it ends up bringing you to more and more creators that have the same content. I remember when my husband said to me, just watch some videos, and he had sent me Jim's videos. But then as I was on TikTok and I was watching more, more creators with the same content were coming up. And I was watching people that had reversed neuropathy. I was listening to people that were telling their testimony of reversing stage 4 kidney disease. I was listening to people that were talking about how they had given it to their mother and their mother's cognition had improved and she had been in a decline for years. There are so many stories of success. And I think the bottom line is you're never going to believe it until you try it. But you have 90 days to figure out if it's going to work. You've got nothing to lose. The company is amazing. Like, even as far as giving you your money back, like, you know, you have to show consistency. You utilize, we would give you a fasting app to help utilize and get yourself, you know, on a good run with it. But ultimately, like, the company's just amazing.
Have you noticed that when your subscription comes out, I don't know how many else, I don't know if anybody else has even noticed this or not, but I have, and I think it's a statement to the reputation, the quality of the company. Every month when your subscription is coming up, they will send you an email about 4 or 5 days before the subscription, just to let you know, hey, it's exciting. Get excited. The next one's coming out. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, Kristen. At the bottom, it says, click here to cancel.
Yeah.
They put the cancel button in the email. That takes, if you're in the sales business, that takes some big cojones to put the cancel button in the email.
That's interesting. I didn't notice that. I'll have to pay attention next time.
That's powerful. That is a strong-willed company that says, hey, we're not being slippery whatsoever.
No.
We're not being slippery whatsoever. This is the best company in the world. I've never seen anything quite like this. Okay. Dr. Tiff told me her battery died. She sent me a text. Battery died. So her and I are going to give you that message next week. You will not want to miss next week's live stream. Kristen knows what it is. It'll be next week. I appreciate everybody being here. This was a bit of an emotional one. You started crying, and then I started crying. And dang, I don't cry. Kristen, I appreciate you. Love you to death. Give Randy the hug for me. Actually, I'm going to see you guys in the next couple of days.
Yeah. When do you fly in?
Tomorrow.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Reservations are made for Friday.
Yeah. See you guys.
All right,
Everybody, get with the person who invited you to this. They'll tell you how to order it. Go into with a 90-day mindset. Use that app that Kristen was talking about. And let's all get healthy together.
Sounds good.
See you guys.